So now we're going to go through a little bit of a demand generation exercise,
Okay.
testing demand generation,
Cool.
right? Because you all have a few different ideas for information products and services beyond the event. And this could actually work for your event as well.
Okay.
But so yeah, we can talk about that too. So let's throw some of the ideas out there. So you've got this mental health awareness and relief workshop that
Yeah.
we're talking about for this virtual event,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you also already have your visioning exercises,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then are there a few more? Are there a few more ideas that you've been considering?
I think like maybe things that, I don't know if it's like workbooks or guides or things like that can just be accessed online and sold. So that's another product. That's what I've been thinking about. I'm not sure what that would be, or if it's like some sort of thinking about creative development or creative, work, whatever that might be. Just sort of like prompts and things to get people thinking outside of the box or specific to whatever they're trying to work towards. So maybe being like creative guides to help people enhance their creativity, or that's, I don't know.
We haven't really gone that much further than
Just
I think
the
with
general
just
ideas.
I mean, we thought about like a happy hour and networking event to get people in the same space to see what comes up.
Okay, so there's two categories of research that relate for market research. One is qualitative and one is quantitative. And not to get too academic, but just in general, that one's focus groups,
Right.
where you're collecting quantitative information, a lot of information, versus quantitative. So qualitative, you're
Right.
the quality, you
Right.
get more quantitative, you get more quantity, but it's more database.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and so you know that already,
Yeah.
but it's helpful to think about it from that lens, because if you're still in kind of a brainstorming phase, that's fine,
Yeah.
but then that's a good place to get qualitative, right? To get some folks in the room, like you're describing, do that happy hour, maybe do a Zoom hangout,
Right.
Google Hangout,
Right.
while we're in this
Yeah.
social distancing, right? But yeah, cheers, right?
Via the internet.
Right, exactly. But now that you know your ideal client profile, you know who to invite,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
if you're inviting those specific dancers and saying, we want to provide value to you, and again, you can think in terms of what kind of quantity and dollar amount you would actually be going towards. It's not to be too capitalistic, but it really does help you settle your lens for what is appropriate, right? It helps you determine what kind of value you want to provide, right?
Yeah.
So to that end, it sounds like the focus group might be helpful for you, but let's take you one step further, because you'll get there, right? You can have that Google Hangout and collect that work session. There are a few ways to do it also online now, which are pretty interesting, right? Like you could, it might sound silly, but you could actually just start sending Facebook messages,
Yeah.
right, to the right people. You
Yeah.
can just choose these people and start sending Facebook messages, start sending Instagram messages, and saying, hey, you're the exact kind of person that we want to be providing value to. So both from a direct one-to-one perspective, as well as putting out with a broader brush of saying, we want to get feedback, we want to get your ideas, we'd like to include you, and people love to be creatively involved. That's a good way to actually work with them,
Right.
Then from one perspective or another,
Right.
it turns them into brand champions,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that brand champion.
That's right. Well, you all are such great brand champions as co-founders, and right, absolutely, you got a cool brand to champion.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's take you one step further.
Okay.
So once you've got that, then it's a matter of validating your idea. So and this can be done rather quickly, but you want to get data. So once you've refined that amount, that offering. So let's say that you've come up with a workshop for whatever it is. I'm not going to speculate, but put it out there, and again, you can test that,
Mhm.
both quantitative and qualitatively.
Right.
And now with the qualitative, we've gone over it a little bit, but it's a helpful next step, because then you have something really specific.
Mhm.
Because it's one thing to say, I'm interested, and then it's another to say, hey, would you specifically
Right.
pay money for this?
Right.
Pay 5, 10, whatever it is, whatever dollar amount it is for it. And it's really great to go through this before you build the product.
That's true.
A lot of people don't. And I can tell you from experience that with creatives, they're really, because we're all so passionate about our ideas,
Yeah.
and as you said, a lot of people are creative,
Yeah.
but when people define themselves as creativity, it's a part of our ego.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's that much harder to let go.
Yeah, right.
But you really, as a business owner, you kind of have to accept that you could be wrong and make little tests.
Yes.
Right? So we've talked a little bit about the initial test, but then you could take it a little bit further and put some dollars into it. So now with that Facebook post that I was telling you about, not just a message now, we'll put it on a post.
Mhm.
We're creating a workshop. Take a look and let us know if you'd be interested.
Mhm.
So the first leg of that could be that post.
Right.
Next step, boost it.
Right.
Right? Put it as advertising and amplify it to specifically your target. So because we were talking about the 10,000 people you can reach, that's
Right.
real easy to do if you throw just $5 at it,
Right.
$10,
Right.
$100, then you
Yeah.
can reach
You can
all
reach,
those
yeah.
people
Mhm.
and get them to really tell you what they think of that idea.
Right.
You can do surveys online. That's a huge opportunity
surveys,
to
yeah.
take surveys, because you can also do surveys on certain platforms and boost them. And then the next step, which can be the next leg, which will also can amplify, is we have a landing page where people can actually plug their info in there to raise their hand and say they're really
They're
interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, that could be stepping. The first step is awareness, right? You
Mhm.
want to get them aware and evaluating and thinking about whether they would be interested in this. Now, you have to come up with triggers to get them to raise their hand and say that they are interested one way or another. And a lot of times between awareness and evaluation means that they're downloading something potentially for free.
Mhm.
So if you come up with a 10-step guide to whatever it is the workshop is, a 10-step guide to mental health
Mhm.
as a performance artist,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Then you could put that on that landing page.
Right.
And if they're willing to put their information in return to get this PDF, and you all have
Right.
great
Mhm.
design resources, so go ahead and you can use those designs.
Right.
And then they're raising their hand to say, yes, we're interested in principle.
Right.
They're not yet there to spend money, but
Right.
you need to start growing your list,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Growing a
for
list
sure.
of
Gotcha.
from your ideal client profile,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then
Yeah.
the other step, which is kind of an interesting tip that you're not going to get for too many places, and there are few brands that are willing to try this, but Tim Ferriss is actually kind of famous for doing this,
Okay.
where he wrote the 4-Hour Work Week.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs love this
Yeah.
book, and he tested different titles in Google Ads.
Mm.
So you can do that's one more kind of ninja way of hitting your market, because you can do targeting both from a demographic standpoint as well as a keyword perspective. So you can have people that are searching for I don't know how many keywords there would be on
Right.
performance artist mental health.
Right.
But
right.
that's another good way for you to get a little bit of a gut check, is
Yeah.
to do some keyword research. So
Yeah.
go ahead and go in. It's actually a free tool.
Okay.
It's Google Ads keywords tools. They've got a few. So Keyword Planner is a big one. Google Ads Keyword Planner, and then you can
Okay.
go in and start playing with. Look at performance artist, dancer, mental health, relaxation,
Mhm.
relaxation tips.
Right.
And you'll see related keywords as well, which will make you think, okay, well, it looks like some of these are more interesting. They will get
Yeah.
exactly. You get more
They're more
volume.
popular. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that will kind of test your assumptions on whether or not you should go in one direction or another.
Mm. Yeah. That's all.
That is very helpful.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, thanks, folks. I think
Thank you.
Thank you.
absolutely my pleasure.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
All right, well, Marcus, Jessica from the Squeeze Network.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being
Yes,
on the show.
thank
Thank you
Carl.
for having
Thank
us.
you, guys.
Thank you.
We did a ideal client profiling exercise where you start looking through the lens of your goals, because depending on what your goal is in terms of your product, your service, your project, event in this case, there's going to be a very different kind of ideal client that you are selling to. And at a high level, it's just documenting the demographics and the psychographics, but getting much, much deeper. And to do so, rather than going back through it now, you can go to spiralmarketing.com, go to the show notes page for this episode. It will be episode 45. And you can download a free worksheet that you can use to mark up all of the different categories and questions. So demand generation testing, there are a few types of research that are worth noting here categorically: qualitative research and quantitative research. Qualitative research, quality, you get more of focus groups, so it's information rather than data. And looking at the focus groups, you can also ask your ideal client or ideal prospect what they think about this idea, and have them walk through their thoughts, feelings, and impression, and most importantly, in this case, whether they would pay money for it and whether they want it. Really, that's demand generation. Quantitative, quantity of data that you can use to build a case one way or another. And the most common example there is surveys, but we walked through a bit of a ninja example using keywords data. So you can get keywords, data, and clicks on the different ideas. So you could actually create an ad that shows what it is you're selling, or versus option A, option B, and do a little bit of multivariate testing. This works with keywords through Google Ads. It also works for social platforms where there's advertising, which nowadays is almost all. Now, the one piece that's not written here is coming up with triggers. So triggers that prove beyond awareness into evaluation or interest. So you're getting somebody to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested enough in this, maybe not yet to buy, but to download something in return for their contact information. So a common example is a PDF providing some kind of a valuable infographic, something visual, but it could be anything that somebody is willing to give their information in order to receive. So again, we'll have more information on the show notes page at spiralmarketing.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching or listening. Cheers.